So their last presentation is Drs. Renée St. Assistant Research Scientist at UMTRI, and Ping Yi, Professor of Civil Engineering at the University of Akron. And they'll present their project, Practice Ready Guidelines for Training Older Adults to Use CAVs.
Thanks, Debbie. All right, I'm going to try to go really fast here. I'm going to keep it to 10 minutes so we can give our colleagues at Akron some time. I'll try to keep it under 10 minutes, and then I'll hand it off. But so here's a really long title of our project here. I just want to acknowledge my colleagues in the Behavioral Sciences group at UMTRI. So myself, David Eby, Jennifer Zakryzak, Nicole Zanier, and Lisa Molnar. So I'm just going to give a high-level overview of a training program that we pilot tested with a group of older adults at Mcity. But just as a bit of background, so we know that there's potential for advanced driver assistance systems to improve safety and driving comfort of drivers as they age. But attaining these kinds of benefits is really dependent upon the driver's awareness and understanding and them actually using the ADAS that are in their vehicles. So in a previous CCAT project, we conducted a series of focus groups with older adults, so people age 65 and older. And we asked them what are the benefits and barriers that they believe about ADAS and automated vehicles in general. And what we are finding is that they really recognize this potential value of these technologies for maintaining safe mobility as they age and maybe start to see some declines in some of their safe driving abilities. And learning how to use these technologies was identified as the #1 barrier to them actually using them. But they also recognize there's so many types of these new technologies on their vehicles that within one training session, it'd be really hard to go in depth on all of them. It'd be kind of burdensome, and they wouldn't even really take in all of that information effectively. So, and then just in general, there's a need for training programs targeted specifically at older adults. So what our program is, based on kind of all this information from the focus groups, we put together this program. We wanted to use a multimedia approach, so incorporating videos, websites, a lecture style setting. Our main goal was to provide background and resources for them to understand and learn how to use these specific ADAS technologies rather than going into every ADAS that might be on their vehicle, so to point them in the right direction to where to find that information. But then we did want to demonstrate a couple technologies on the track and sort of give them a sense of what riding in an AV might feel like. So we did pre-post surveys to assess their changes in a lot of different factors, so their confidence and attitudes, intention to use these technologies, and we also got some feedback on what they thought about the training. So we had 29 participants, average age about 73, and ranging in age from 66 to 87. The classroom training portion was about 30 minutes. We had an introduction to ADAS through video. We kind of laid out that progression of the levels of automation, showed them a couple more videos on ADAS and AVs, and then just had a discussion of why learning about these technologies is important and could be beneficial for them. And then we went over a lot of different sources of information about where they could go to learn more. Then we took them out on the Mcity track. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see this course. What we did was had them in a Ford Mach-E, and this Mach-E was outfitted with a software that we could enable sort of an automated route. So in red is that automated route where it would go through roundabouts, and it had a railroad crossing. We always had a safety driver in the vehicle with our participants. So after that route, we showed them 2 demonstrations. The first was the backup cross-traffic alert system, where I drove this little tiny vehicle. I don't know how to use this. Yeah. Like right here. So I would drive behind the vehicle, the warning signs the lights would start flashing, and then our safety driver would kind of tell the participants what's going on. And then we also demonstrated automatic emergency braking. So all credit to the safety driver, because she had to drive straight at that soft vehicle on the track and just hope that the AEB kicked in. And thankfully it did every time for 10 times in a row. So just the enhanced technology acceptance model was sort of the framework that we used with the survey, and kind of everything leading to the behavioral intention to use these technologies. Briefly, some results. There's a report I'll link you to at the end, so I won't go into all the details here, but what we are finding from pre to post was the trust in these technologies significantly increased, the perceived safety risks significantly decreased, and then also their behavioral intention to use these technologies increased following the training program. We received excellent feedback on the training. I think that the hands-on demonstration is what really helped the participants understand the technologies. They'd recommend it to friends and family, and they were a lot more excited about the future of automotive technologies, and said that they would consider, or actually had increased, using the ADAS on their own vehicle. So our biggest takeaways here, it's really important to bring older adults into the conversation. Going forward, we have an aging population. We're all aging. So important to bring it into the conversation so we can start thinking about the design of these technologies so that everyone can use them. And then again, so the classroom training and the hands-on experience with these technologies can help to overcome some of the barriers that were identified by the older adults in the first study, and it can really increase the trust in and use of these technologies. Thinking ahead, how are older adults being trained to use these technologies on their vehicles, and are they being trained at all? So thinking about how this training might be modified to get at more people, make it available in different settings. Maybe not the AV part, that's kind of Mcity specific, but just thinking more about how we can get the information out there. Link to the study, and I will hand it off. Thank you.
I am not Dr. Pingy. I'm Renée Wittenberger, one of his students, and I'll be giving the presentation. Our project was similar, but we have a different point of view where we went off-site to different locations to reach the public that way. We went to a church in Strongsville, Ohio, and we have another location at an apartment where a lot of older people live. Dr. Pingy is the leader of this project. 3 graduate students, Claudia Morovic, myself, and Raj Kumar. We did something similar with a presentation with video, pictures, some discussion, showing them what the safety features would look like. And then we had an observation phase where we focused on 4 specific features, and they could watch from outside of the vehicle, or there could be real-time streaming video where they could watch that from inside. So they had a different look at that. The demographics of the people that we had attend the workshops, most of them were over 70. 70 to 79 was 44%, and then 80 years old to 89 was 37%. 71% was female, and 29% was male. And then we asked what type of car they drive and what year, so we could understand what features might they already be familiar with. Only 7% had cars from 2012 or before. The rest were later models. Most of them were after 2015 when backup cameras were standard in vehicles. So they all had a little bit, they all most likely had a little bit of experience with their safety features. The leading vehicle was Toyota, followed by Honda, and then Ford, and then a smattering of other manufacturers after that. So we asked their thoughts after the workshop, if it helped, and we found that most of them did think it was helpful in improving their understanding of and using of safety features. Most did feel like it somewhat or did definitely improve the confidence in the safety features in the vehicle that they had right there. 5% said no. But no one said no when we asked if they planned to learn more about the safety features in their vehicle. So a resounding yes, with just 10% at somewhat. We also asked them to rate their priorities when purchasing a car. For example, I just bought my 4th Jeep Wrangler. I will always buy Jeep Wranglers. So for me, number 1 would be brand and aesthetics. And then they would rate their first, second, and third. And then we had them do that before and after the survey. And what we found is that brand, maintenance, and price all lowered in their priority lists. And technology was not in the top 3, and then it became a major component in the top 3. I'm going to skip these. And because the entire purpose is to improve the awareness, understanding, and acceptance of these safety features, we specifically asked those questions. So we asked them to rate their level of awareness before and after the training. And what you're seeing here is the change, the positive change. And then using the Wilcoxon Sign Ranks test, we found that there was a significant improvement in their awareness with a p-value of 0.007. We also asked for their understanding, with 1 being novice and 5 being expert, and the difference between that pre and post workshop. And we found that there was a significant improvement, a significant difference in their understanding of the safety vehicles and their safety features in their vehicle. But we asked their feelings, with 1 being hate and 5 being love for the safety features, and there was not a significant difference in that. So we weren't able to move the test that much. The 4 features that we focused on were pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, automatic emergency brake, and adaptive cruise control. And remember, we went through a lot of safety features, but the 4 that we showed them that they had observation were these 4. We wanted a range of whether they were assistance type features, alert type features, or automatic type features. And so in our survey, before and after each type had a page where if it was an alert, we asked these things, assist, and then automatic, and we showed them the types of features that would fit in those categories. And then the 3 questions that we asked about these particular categories were, how easy are they to use? Do you feel that these improve the driving environment or experience? And do you think these are worth the extra cost if there are some in the vehicle purchase? And so with our Wilcoxon Signed Ranks test, we were able to see that when it comes to the alert features, there was no significant difference in their opinions on if they were easy to use, if it improved the environment, or if they were worth the cost. For the assistance type features, we found that there were significant changes in their thoughts on if they were easy to use and if it improved the driving experience, but not so much on if it was worth the extra cost for those features. And then for the automatic features, there was no significant change on the ease of use for those, but there were significant changes on improving the driver experience, and that they were worth the extra cost. And then we also asked them to tell us what conditions would these features be most useful, and this Wordle shows what was most often picked. And you see in the nighttime, rain and snow, roads where they're unfamiliar, highways, dawn and dusk, those were the most common responses chosen after the survey or after the workshop. And what we found is we need more data. We just haven't had enough people attend these workshops. Quantifying qualitative data is difficult, but we learned that in the first phase of this. So we learned better questions to ask and how to give them choices of answers that are actually meaningful. We found that probably a more frequent workshop, not just one 90-minute workshop, would be better. for repetition. We would have liked to have more than 90 minutes of time, but also they were sort of tired of doing this after 90 minutes, and you could see that in some of the survey results. So probably length might not be the best for that. The technology in the presentation was helpful, and we found that this work is really needed. A lot of people are telling us that this is important. They're afraid of their cars, and they really would like to use the safety features more. That's it.